For most people, the thought of kissing a celebrity sounds like a total dream come true. But when it's your job, it's not always necessarily so fun. With that in mind, here are some actors who really didn't want to kiss their co-stars. Kate Hudson is definitely one of Hollywood's 20th century it girls. From her breakout role in Almost Famous to her rom-com hijinks in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, she's flawless at everything she does, and she's not bad to look at either. Moviegoers probably assume that men are constantly falling at her feet wherever she goes. But there was one co-star who actually wasn't all that keen on locking lips with her. According to Dane Cook, who appeared opposite Hudson in 2008's My Best Friend's Girl, her kissing was actually subpar.
I think she purposely ate just like a feast of onions before our scene.
Wow!
I had to burn her on that one.
That's not exactly the rave review you would want to hear about your kissing skills. But if Cook was telling the truth about what Hudson was stuffing in her mouth before they locked lips, who can blame him? The 2011 romantic drama, Water for Elephants, made a bit of a splash at the box office. And with a star-studded cast that included Reese Witherspoon and Robert Pattinson, that wasn't exactly surprising. Nevertheless, while those two stars acted their butts off and the movie received decent reviews, there was a common critique that the co-stars lacked chemistry. And as it turns out, they were both aware of that. In an interview with MTV News, Witherspoon explained how she was really dreading kissing Pattinson, as he had a nasty cold at the time. As she put it, he did have a very runny nose, yeah, it wasn't appealing, it wasn't pleasant. Pattinson wasn't looking forward to the kiss either because of how gross he felt. As he told MTV News, "My nose is running all over the place," and it was in one of the additional photography scenes. And Reese had this wig on, and literally I was wiping my nose on her wig. Nothing like boogers in your hair to really get in the way of getting that spark going. The early 2010s saw the world going mad for young adult dystopian stories, and the one that ruled above them all was The Hunger Games. There was action, intrigue, and romance, including a love triangle that really got fans passionate about whether they were Team Gale or Team Peeta. No matter what side you fell on, there was no denying that when Liam Hemsworth's Gale locked lips with Jennifer Lawrence's Katniss, the sparks were real. But according to Hemsworth, anytime he had to kiss his co-star, he was actually pretty miserable, as he told Jimmy Fallon during a 2008 appearance on The Tonight Show. As he put it, "Anytime I had to kiss Jennifer was pretty uncomfortable. She's one of my best friends, I love her, but if we had a kissing scene, she would make a point of eating garlic or tuna fish or, something that was disgusting." Hemsworth added that Lawrence would even taunt him with her meal choices.
Right before the scene, she'd be like, "Yeah, I had tuna, I had garlic, and I didn't brush my teeth." Like, fantastic.
Make you work
I can't
that
wait
much
to
more.
get in there and taste it.
As funny as that is, we can definitely sympathize with Hemsworth. We can practically taste how disgusting it must have been for him. Despite his connections to Scientology and his sketchy relationship past, Tom Cruise continues to be one of Hollywood's biggest heartthrobs, and all of his action-packed movies don't do anything to make him any less handsome. In fact, they only increase his appeal. For instance, in 2000's Mission Impossible 2, he and Tandy Newton shared some spicy moments. But according to Newton, it was all for show, as she kind of hated having to kiss her co-star. In the book Holy Matrimony, Better Halves and Bitter Halves, Newton is quoted as describing her kiss with Cruise as slightly icky and a little bit wet. That sounds less like the magic of the movies and more like a first kiss in middle school during a game of spin the bottle in the basement. For Newton, it truly was one of the worst parts of the movie. She's been quoted as saying, "I'd really go home at the end of the day actually moaning about how many times we had to do it." Cruise might be an action hero, but that doesn't make him a good kisser, at least if Tandy Newton's experience is anything to go on. Hugh Jackman might be most famous as a deadly mutant hero, but he also has his romantic side. In 2008, he starred alongside fellow Aussie Nicole Kidman in the epic drama Australia. The two played lovers, and their scenes were pretty steamy. Both actors were married when the movie was filming, but that lack of potential off-screen complications didn't make their kissing scenes any easier. In fact, according to Jackman, they were downright awkward, as he reportedly said, "It's never particularly comfortable making out with someone in front of 70 people. That's really not something that turns me on." Additionally, Jackman told Express that his wife Deborah Lee Furness, who used to live with Kidman and remains close friends with her, wasn't particularly comfortable watching them. As he put it, "Needless to say, Deb wasn't on set when we had our kissing scenes. That would have been awkward, but we talked about it. I said, let's talk about it. And we just we both loved the project and created an atmosphere which was safe." As comfortable as that environment may have been, it's clear it wasn't exactly a formula for actual romance. The 2012 rom-com Silver Linings Playbook is notably quirky and intense. Based on Matthew Quick's novel of the same name, the plot follows Bradley Cooper as Pat, who struggles with mental illness, and meets Jennifer Lawrence as Tiffany, who's facing a similar struggle of her own. The two strike up an unlikely romance and enter a dance contest together. It's sweet, endearing, and heartbreaking all at once, and the on-screen spark between Lawrence and Cooper was undeniable. However, spark or not, Lawrence wasn't all that psyched to kiss her co-star, and the reason why is kind of gross. During an appearance on The Graham Norton Show, Cooper revealed that his co-star actually told him just how much she didn't enjoy kissing him. As he recalled, after the second take, she said, "You're a wet kisser. You don't want to hear that. It was not a compliment." We'd have to agree that that's definitely not what you want to hear after locking lips with someone. But despite that extra moisture, the kiss that made it on screen made for an unforgettable moment. No matter how old Brad Pitt gets or whether or not he's single, he continues to be one of the hunkiest dreamboats in all of Hollywood. Back in 1994, he starred in Interview with the Vampire, which featured him kissing a young Kirsten Dunst. While the two of them kissing today would hardly raise any eyebrows, Dunst was only 12 years old when the movie came out, and she couldn't stand kissing her co-star. As she told Bullet magazine in 2013, "It was just a pet. I remember Brad would watch lots of Real World episodes. He had this long hair, he was just a hippie-ish cool dude. Everyone at the time was like, 'You're so lucky you kissed Brad Pitt.' But I thought it was disgusting." She added, "I didn't kiss anyone else until I was 16, I think. I was a late bloomer." That's right, kissing Pitt scarred Dunst for years afterward. And that's pretty understandable. Basically, every intimate interaction is gross when you're that young. And Dunst had to kiss an older guy in front of a bunch of other people, which couldn't have been easy.
I hated it so much because, I don't know, Brad was like my older brother on the set, and it's kind of like kissing your brother, I don't know.
Shailene Woodley and Miles Teller are both attractive and talented actors. You'd think that the two of them kissing in a movie would be a formula for making sparks fly, but it didn't exactly work out that way. On the set of 2013's The Spectacular Now, they weren't crazy about having to lock lips with each other, and their reasons are pretty hilarious. They both complained that the other had just eaten something gross, and they could then taste it when they kissed. As Teller told Vulture, she would take these herbal supplements, these Chinese herbal supplements, and they tasted like crap. And she would always eat them right before we had a kissing scene. He wasn't really in a position to complain though, as his pre-kiss routine wasn't exactly appealing either. He told Vulture, "I would be drinking a Gatorade right before a kissing scene. She would be like, 'Are you serious? You're gonna kiss me after that?'" Woodley confirmed to Vulture that she indeed wasn't a fan of Teller's kissing and vice versa, as she said, "It was just this ongoing back and forth."
I think that we're very similar.
It sounds like these two would never date each other in real life, but at least they look good in the movie. We imagine that Ryan Reynolds has plenty of lovely kisses in his personal life with his wife Blake Lively, but when he's on the big screen, it's a different story. In the 2016 comic book movie Deadpool, the romance between him and Morena Baccarin wasn't exactly palpable for the two actors. For Baccarin, kissing her co-star was usually the last thing she wanted to do. As she told People magazine, "I keep saying that kissing him in that mask is like kissing a giant latex condom. It basically just smells like rubber the entire time." Baccarin also noted that it was just hard to feel intimate with him in costume, while adding, "And then when it was just him, I just felt like I could actually see his eyes, so it's a little challenging to act with the mask essentially." Kissing a giant piece of latex certainly isn't the most appealing thing in the world, so it's no surprise to hear that those scenes were awkward to shoot. Action and sci-fi movies aren't always particularly romantic, but sometimes they can in fact get pretty steamy. In 2016's Passengers, for example, Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt shared some hot moments, but for Lawrence, it was torture to film them. It wasn't because her co-star was a bad kisser. Instead, her worries were more psychological. As she told The Hollywood Reporter, "It was going to be my first time kissing a married man, and guilt is the worst feeling in your stomach. And I knew it was my job, but I couldn't tell my stomach that. That was the most vulnerable I've ever been." Despite Lawrence's misgivings, their intimate scenes turned out great, and audiences never had any reason to worry that there was any trouble behind the scenes. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite celebs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.